In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make modern pop music, kind of just like a modern pop vibe that's on the radio and charts nowadays. And to do that, I remade one of my favorite Tate McRae songs called Don't Come Back, and I'll break down my remake of the song's elements, the sounds of those elements, the mixing, the structure and arrangement, all that jazz. So hopefully by the end of this tutorial, you can make a song in a similar modern pop style to this one. Set the tempo around 176 BPM, start off by finding yourself a guitar loop. Some good websites and resources to find loops like this are Splice, which is paid for, and Looperman, which is completely free. Both have awesome guitar loops that are very similar to this. Or you could just play the guitar yourself. That's also an option. Just do like a very simple loop like this that could be repeated over and over again. Next, build some chords around that guitar loop. A lot of the times what I'll do is I'll just make some random chords that are in the key of the track, and then I will just try to fit them in with where it will sound great with the loop. And if you don't know how to make chords that are in the key of the track, chordchord.com is a great resource for that. All you have to do is pick your key, hit generate, and then it gives you lots of nice chord options with the notes inside each chord. Not a sponsor, I just really like using that website. For the sounds of these chords, I use 3 presets to accomplish the sound. I use this piano preset from Flex, the synth preset from MHA's Vital Sound Bank Volume 3, and another Vital preset from the exact same sound bank. So these are very airy, atmospheric, synthy, soft chords, and then this one is just like a piano to add some extra texture. For mixing, I put this EQ on here, which is just taking out a lot of the lows so that when we make basses later, the lows of these chords aren't like counteracting with the lows of the basses. And then boosting a tiny bit of the higher frequencies over here just so that we get an extra like elevated crispiness, and so that the higher frequencies really just rest up on top of the mix. And then a sidechain on here, which is going to be on almost every element except the drums. Not too big, just like 25% of the mix, just so that when we make the drums later, they're punchy and can stand out more without elevating too much of the volume. Next, take the root notes of those chords and make a bass out of them. By root notes, I just mean, like, for example, if this is like an A sharp chord, this is like a G sharp chord, it's going to be like the root note of what kind of chord it is, and throw them into a bass over here that sounds like this. The sound has a lot of attack, and it's a very driven, respace type sound. And to accomplish that, I use 3 presets. I use this bass guitar preset from Flex, this bass preset from MHA's Vital Sound Bank Volume 3, this Vital preset from the exact same sound bank. So this one is just like a muffled bass guitar. This one is where you get a lot of that respace high-end sound. And then this one over here is just some low-end support sub-bass to help kind of drive the lower end of the bass. Because as you hear, these other sounds really don't have that. So this kind of adds that and amplifies the lower ends. For mixing, all I did is I put a Fruity Blood overdrive on here, nothing done to it, just the preset thrown in here, just so that we really get a lot of amplification with this bass. And then the same sidechain from earlier. Now for the drums. I have a kick. Make sure it's a very trap style hard hitting kick. I have a snare percussion thing. Make sure it's a very light snappy type percussion thing. And then I have this hi-hat loop that I made over here by layering 2 hi-hats and putting it on every 2 step. And together the drums sound like this. Very generic trap vibes over here with the drums. And the only mixing that I did for the drums is I put a Fruity Blood overdrive on there just to really make the drums hit harder and amplify the overall sound of them. But for the snare, I also added this reverb on here with the low cut on there so that we get a more higher end reverb rather than like muddy lows that would mess up the mix and stuff. Now for some effects. The only thing that I did for effects is I put this kind of like track bed effects drone type thing in the background. It helps to just add some texture and fill up the mix in the background and make the mix sound less stale and boring. Now for the structure and arrangement of this track. Very, very simple structure and arrangement for this track. I split it up for like a verse over here and then like the chorus over here. So for the verse, all I did is I took the same guitar loop from earlier and I pitched it down a whole octave. So it should sound like this now. And that is the only thing playing for the entire verse. And then when you get to the chorus, everything comes in all together. You got the regular octave guitar loop, the chords, the bass, the effects, and then the drum loop that we just made. So yeah, this is what the overall structure of the track looks like. And after all that, here's the final result.
wanna go ahead and lie to me.